Good morning everyone, it is Bridget here from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Wishing you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I hope you are well and I hope you are safe. Thank you so much for joining me for another cooking class right here in my kitchen, and it's another epic air fryer cooking class. And today the recipe is pudding. I mean, who doesn't love pudding, right? And now we can create a pudding, because normally you think of pudding, you're like, it takes too long, you have to wait for ages. I'm going to teach you guys how to cook a pudding in your air fryer, and it's going to take around about 15 minutes. So you can have pudding in 15 minutes. I know I've said pudding a lot, but it's kind of like one of my favorite words. It rolls off the tongue. It reminds me of my childhood. You know, we would go to see, one of my grandmothers, and they would always have a fabulous pudding waiting for us grandkids to snack into. So, I still continue that theme today. I always like to think of, especially because it's Sunday morning here in Sydney, and I like to think of Sundays as being that kind of family day. We like to have a bit of a feast, and that usually does involve pudding. But now pudding can take you 15 minutes in your air fryer, which is super exciting. So it's an easy recipe today. In fact, if you've ever made my almond chia porridge, or if you have ever made my almond bircher, you will find these ingredients really, really familiar. In fact, when I was thinking about bircher, which is that wonderful almond bircher with chia that we make, and I was thinking about that incredible almond and chia porridge that we make, this is literally a continuation of this theme. It is that simple. So why don't you come on down to my bench? We'll talk a bit about air fryers as we're going through it, but come on down to my bench and let's get into the recipe. As I said, it's really quick, and yes, you can have it for breakfast, yes, you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dessert, you can have it at any time you want. It is a fabulous and very, very simple recipe. So come on down to my bench. Join me down here. We're going to get straight into it. You can see I have my bowl ready to go. It is on my my scales as well, but I am going to start with the liquid ingredients, so to speak. We'll start there, and everything can be done straight into the bowl, by the way. So when it comes to the liquid ingredients, with the wet ingredients, we're going to be using 2 eggs, and by the way, this is enough for 2 to 3 portions, so you can actually get quite a lot out of this one, and it's only going to be using 2 eggs. We'll start there. Large eggs, of course, room temperature is ideal if your eggs are at room temperature. The next thing we're going to add in, which is once again our liquid ingredients, is I'm going to be adding in some coconut milk. That's my favorite coconut milk, the Cara coconut milk. It is so creamy, so rich, so it's worthwhile spending, investing. If you use a lot of coconut milk, it's worthwhile investing an extra, 50 cents in a tin or in a container of coconut milk, because you get such better quality than a really, really cheap one, which can be quite watery. Check out how thick and liquidy this one is. So I'm putting into here, after my 2 eggs, I'm going to be adding in 200 mils. Look, can you see how thick that is? That's crazy, right? So 200 mils of our coconut milk is going in. There we go. Let's give it a little bit of a whisk. And just to that, we're also going to add in just a little bit of pure vanilla extract. Teaspoon of that goes in, because it's kind of like a little vanilla-y kind of a pudding, which is really, really nice. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And as I was saying, this is a direct result of me loving the almond porridge and the bircher. Those flavors are amazing. So I thought to myself, why can't I make it into a pudding? This is what we're doing. All right, so once you've got no egg yolk sort of showing through, like that's about all you have to do. We're going to consider the dry ingredients that we're going to be adding in. Of course, I said this is similar to the almond. So our dry ingredients today is some almond meal. But of course, you can use any nut flour or seed flour that you like. Just be aware that if you are adding a seed flour, they can be a little bit nuttier, which is weird, right? Because it's a seed flour, but they can be a little bit nuttier than, say, our almond, which has a very mild flavor, hence why I'm using our almond flour. And we're going to be adding into here, better get that out of the way. That is in the way, put that in there. We're going to be adding into here 80 grams, which is about 1.7 ounces of almond flour. And yet play around with the nut flours, play around with the seed flours, and get one that you like, or one that you know, if you're allergic to nuts, obviously, you might want to add sunflower seed flour into here. So just play around with it until you get the flavors that you enjoy. So 80 grams, 1.7 ounces. We're also going to add in chia seeds. They're going to help things to thicken up. They're also going to be increasing the amount of fiber that we have in here, which is really important. And I'm putting 2 tablespoons of chia seeds go in there. Now let's sweeten it up a little bit. I'm going to be putting in some inulin, more dietary fiber. We are now going to be creating a prebiotic as well, which is really good. And I'm going to be putting in 1 heaped tablespoon of our inulin powder goes in there as well. And the next thing that we're going to be adding is a little bit of the zero as sugar, pure erythritol is going to go into there, and I'm going to be adding on 2 tablespoons of our erythritol, and those are pretty much the ingredients. Easy, right? Go back to our little whisk, don't need that anymore, and just mix it all together. And what you will notice is that we're starting to create almost like a batter. Quite a nice little batter is happening here, which is really, really exciting. So we're creating this wonderful, wonderful batter, and it's quite watery. But don't panic whether it's watery, because it will thicken up as it's cooking. So even though you're thinking it's almost like a pancake batter, this is the type of consistency that you are after. All right, so once we're at that point, let's think about our air fryer. And it's really important when it comes to our air fryer that you take this step into consideration. Not just because you know, it kind of happens at this point, it needs to happen at this point. And what I need to do here is I need to preheat my air fryer. Really, really important that we preheat our air fryer. And I'm preheating my air fryer on 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to preheat that for 2 minutes before I put anything into it. So 2 minutes minimum you want to preheat your air fryer. So that's really, really important. And then I'm also going to be adding, my batter into a little oven-proof container. I have this really cool one. Here, as you can see. So this one is obviously not going to melt, which is really important, but you could also put this pudding into ramekins. It all depends on what you can fit in your air fryer, obviously. So my one is this wonderful enamel, like picnic or camping little tin that I absolutely love. The other thing you could do, I mean, this will fit the whole batter, but you could also consider doing them in smaller individual ones, like that's a small one, or you could do them in small little ramekins. Up to you, provided it is oven proof. That's what you're looking for. So once we've got our batter, it's starting to even thicken as it's sitting here, but that's absolutely perfect. That's what you want to happen. I'm going to be adding in a few little extra little goodies. One of the goodies today is some sugar-free, dairy-free chocolate chips. Just want to add in like 1.5 tablespoons of chocolate chips. This is, this is one of those things like add it or not. It's up to you. If you don't have chocolate chips, you can still make this pudding. Now the other thing I'm adding in here, as you can see, I just have some berries. So you could use frozen berries, you could use fresh berries, and you just want to add in a couple tablespoons of berries go into there. I'm going to hold back a few because I want to put them on top as well. So give that, like I said, a little bit of a stir through. Ooh, get them out of the whisk. And then they literally, this entire batter goes straight into what you intend to cook it in. So that's all you got to do. And I'm using a spatula obviously because I don't want to waste any of it. I want to get all the goodness. You see there's chia seeds in there that I don't want to waste. So you want to get all the goodness happening there. Fantastic. And look, it makes decent, right? Decent amount. Okay, so I've got these little bits left on top, left to put on top. So a few more little sprinkles of the chocolate chips can go on the top if you like. Just, probably 2 tablespoons of chocolate chips in total that I have put onto the pudding. And then I've saved some of the berries, of course, so just very gently dot those on top of the pudding as well. Give those a bit of a bit of room. You like the colors as well. I've just got mixed frozen berries. It's all I did, couple tablespoons. And it's really nice if you're able to just kind of float the berries on top of the pudding, because it'll look really cool when it's cooked. And that is it. This now goes into the air fryer. Remember, it's set on 180 degrees, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, preheated, of course, for at least 2 minutes. And this now goes into your air fryer for 13 to 14 minutes is all it's going to take. So, of course, make sure before you do that, measure whatever container you're putting in. Make sure you measure that it's going to fit into your air fryer. That's really important. Trust me. You want it to make sure it fits. But here's one I prepared earlier. I want to show you what I made. And I actually made a little individual one. This is after 13 minutes. Check that pudding out. Look at the color on it. Isn't it gorgeous? And it sets really, really firm. So this is just such a wonderful pudding. Let me break into it. I want to show you guys what it looks like as well. It is so incredible. And it's so wonderful and firm. Look at that. I know, right? Isn't that gorgeous? So at this point in time, what you could do is you could sprinkle over a little bit of inulin on top of it. You know, to almost look like you've got a little bit of icing sugar on there, but of course it's inulin. The other thing that you might want to consider, which is really nice, is in this little jar here, I actually have cinnamon sugar. So it's literally our zero as sugar pure erythritol. So I mix in here, I think there's like 4 tablespoons of erythritol and 1 heaped tablespoon of cinnamon powder. And then you get your own little cinnamon sugar, which means then you have the ability, I love it, to do this really cool little sprinkle over top with a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of erythritol, and this pudding is really, really nice if you serve it, you can imagine, with a little bit of coconut milk as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. So there you go. Now, by the way, do not forget that you can cook puddings in here, in your air fryer. And it's one of the things that I think people can often forget, that this is like a little mini oven, yeah? So things that you would normally do in your oven, and yes, you can cook this pudding in your oven, but you need to set it at 190 degrees Celsius, which is 390 degrees Fahrenheit, and you need to cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes. So it can be done in your oven. This does it faster. I also find that this gets a lot nicer. The color here, because I've done it in both the oven and the air fryer, the caramelization that you get on top of this when you do it in the air fryer is amazing. And that's because what is happening is the air is being pushed around really, really quickly. So you're getting a faster cook, and you're also getting a moister result as well. So I find that the pudding's a lot more tender when I do it in the air fryer, which is amazing. So yes, you can do puddings in your air fryer. And in fact, I have, if anyone has my air fryer ebook, I'm gonna read off the list of puddings that I already have recipes for, that is in the air fryer ebook. If you already have it, you might want to get that out of the cupboard or print that off, because you can do pumpkin chips. These are all puddings and healthy treats. I've got a recipe for cinnamon donuts that you can do in your air fryer. There is banana chips, which are amazing, by the way, in the air fryer. I also had in that same ebook a recipe for chocolate molten lava cakes. You know the little cake or the little chocolate cake that when you break into it, all the chocolate oozes out? I have a recipe for that in the air fryer book. I also have a recipe for hot cross buns, strawberry crumble, apple crisps, 15-minute bagels are also in the air fryer cookbook. I have my healthiest air fryer bread recipe in the world, which is the most amazing bread that you can bake in your air fryer. There are psyllium husk bread rolls, great dietary fiber bread rolls, and my Brazilian style cheese rolls are also in that air fryer ebook. And now you also have this incredible berry almond baked, was it fried? I guess it is fried. Fried pudding that takes 13 minutes to bake, 2 minutes to whip up. So 15 minutes, you have pudding ready to go. What greater way to spend the Sunday than making an air fried pudding. So, I've got a question, yes?
Sorry, I have an air fryer with no temperature setting. Is that a problem?
Sandra has an air fryer with no temperature setting. Sandra, I've never come across that. I don't know if it's going to be a problem. It's just going to require a bit of experimentation from you. Assuming if it doesn't have temperature settings, and here's a tip, if you guys are looking to purchase an air fryer, try and get one with temperature settings, because all of my air fryer recipes from the ebook, and I also have a chart that gives you some, I think there's over 80 different types of foods that you can cook in it. I give you a temperature setting, and I give you the amount of time that you need to cook, that it takes to cook, for example, chicken drums or asparagus or fish or pudding or whatever it is. So what I would suggest, if you don't have any temperature settings on your air fryer, I'm imagining that it has like bake, roast, those sort of settings. So if you're making a pudding, you want to put it on bake. Or you want to put it on medium. Does that help at all? I do apologize. I've never come across an air fryer that doesn't have temperature settings before. So, you're going to need to experiment a bit. You're going to need to play around with a few ideas as well. But, the best thing you can do if you don't have any temperature settings on your air fryer is keep an eye on it. Because what you're wanting, obviously, with this pudding is you're wanting it to be cooked through and firm, but you're not wanting to dry it out. So I'll put the setting on medium, and I would keep an eye on it, keep on opening up the lid, take a look, put the lid back down, because it only takes such a short amount of time to cook. You don't want to set it for 15 minutes, walk away, and then it's burnt. So I would definitely just stand next to your air fry and keep an eye on it. Yes, we got another question.
Daniela's asked, can you make all the air fryer recipes in an oven or steam oven?
Daniela's asked if you can make all the air fryer recipes in an oven or a steam oven. Yeah, you can. Not a steam oven. There are some recipes that need a dry heat, whereas the steam is a moist heat. But in terms of the other air fryer recipes, yes, you can make them in the oven. But the temperature settings are going to be different, and the amount of time you cook it for is going to be different as well. So with a lot of my recipes, I do have the oven instructions as well as the air fryer instructions. So just make sure it's not just like if it's 180 degrees here, it doesn't mean it was going to be 180 degrees in your oven, because when it comes to your oven, it still does the same thing, which is it pushes hot air around. It's a convection oven, which is what an air fryer is. But the difference is that it does it a lot slower than your air fryer, so it can take more time to cook, and you may not get that crisp result. And the reason why an air fryer is such an amazing little, small appliance is it does mimic the effects of if you were to put it into your deep fryer. So that's kind of the healthy version, whereas obviously your oven is a lot different to the results you would get in a deep fryer. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, another question?
Tamara's asked, can we use Pyrex in the air fryer?
So Tamara's asked if you can use Pyrex in the air fryer. Yeah, absolutely. So anything that you can put into your oven can be used in your air fryer, including, like if you've got like an aluminium pie plate or something like that, that can go into your air fryer as well. So it's Pyrex. Obviously, I've got this little like camping little container, which I just absolutely love these so much. You can put any type of baked item as well that you would normally put, like a baking tin or anything like that, can happily go into your air fryer. If it's oven proof, I suppose is the rule. If it's oven proof, it's air fryer proof as well. So there you go. So just to recap, my golden rules for air frying are: always preheat your air fryer for at least 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 to 4 minutes, doesn't need any more and longer than that. You will get better results. So you will get a better color on whatever food it is you're cooking. It'll be crisper as well. Always think of it, you never put food that you want to cook into a cold oven. Same principle, yeah, but you just only need to preheat it for 2 to 4 minutes. As well as that, if you've got a basket, I've got a wire rack. If you've got a basket, some foods do definitely benefit from giving that basket a little bit of a shake. If you don't have a basket on your air fryer, like I don't, then you would just get some tongs and maybe turn them over halfway through the cooking process. That's another great little tip. If you're crumbing anything, it's always a dry crumb, not a wet crumb in your air fryer. So you want to do a dry crumb because the wet crumb, or a batter, it just won't work and you'll just have real cloggy sort of, and it's going to stick to the basket or stick to the wire rack as well. So you always want to go for a dry crumb instead of a wet crumb. The best way to clean your air fryer is just to take everything out of it. Hot soapy water behind you, obviously in the sink, including the rack or the basket. And then I like to take everything straight out of the sink, don't even bother to dry it, whack it back into my air fryer, close the lid, turn it on for 2 minutes, and everything dries up really, really nicely, and you don't have to worry about anything potentially rusting as well. So that's the easiest way to clean your air fryer. But even though you don't have to use oil in your air fryer, it's also very nice if you do use just a little bit of oil in your air fryer, because a little goes a long way. So the types of oil that are really good in your air fryer, that work really well because they have a high temperature range, are coconut oil sprays, avocado oil sprays works really well. Also, I would stay away from more of your toxic oils, like stay away from vegetable oils, canola oils, rapeseed oils, stay away from sunflower seed oils, all those oils. Sunflower oil, not sunflower seed, sunflower oil, stay away from that one as well. They are highly toxic, and you don't want any toxicity near your delicious healthy food as well. So those are kind of my picks, my top tips for your air fryer cooking. And the last one is never overload your basket or your wire rack. You want to make sure that everything is put into a single layer in your air fryer. If you double things up, the air can't circulate and cook everything evenly. So if you've got a smaller air fryer, you may find that you need to batch cook. So you cook a bit, because you don't want to put everything all in at the same time, because it won't cook evenly. So you want a single layer in your basket or in your wire rack, single layer, and allow some space in between whatever it is you're cooking for the air to circulate around it as well. So those are my top golden rules for air fryer cooking. Thank you very much for joining me. Get into this pudding, it's really amazing. And please, I would love to see you joining me next week as well. So next week, we've got a really exciting week of cooking coming up. I'm calling it Butt Healthy. You're like, what? It's going to be our butt healthy classes. Yes, it's good for your butt. It's going to make your butt healthy. But I'm literally going to be taking some of the most popular recipes ever, but I'm going to be making them healthy. Do you see where I'm going with this? So I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make the most amazing cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon scrolls, cinnamon buns. We're going to be doing cinnamon buns, which are really mind-blowingly amazing. We're also going to be doing things with fried rice, because how good is fried rice? We're going to be doing another really special banana bread as well, like banana bread 2.0, I call it. It's a grain-free banana bread, and everything we're doing is going to be butt healthy. So popular recipes that you know and love, but healthy versions. So join me all next week in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen as we go through some amazing healthy recipes. But thank you for joining me. Don't forget, wherever you are in the world, stay safe and stay well. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube, subscribe to my Facebook, subscribe to my Pinterest as well, and also I am on Instagram. Love to see you on those platforms as well, guys. In the meantime, stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time right here in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Take care. Bye.